A street-built race car and a track car are not built the same. Street-built race car can be fun for a couple pulls here or there, along with, being on a tire that can get you home in a rainstorm. Now, a track car is one that can stay together running at 8/10 for 30-minute segments without skipping a beat. And building that requires a whole different kind of car build. I'm Alex Martini with 2 underscores on Instagram, and today we're talking about those who want to take it a step further in the world of driving around a track like a happy little idiot, because at the end of the day, isn't that all what we want to do? Today, we're talking about how to modify a car for the track. Now, if you're looking for car parts like wheels, performance parts, you want a wheel tire mounted and shipped to your door, you can find all of that over at Martiniworks.com. This is where I talk to you about the lowest prices, free wheel slaps from Dakota guaranteed, but the biggest thing is we want to thank you for getting your car parts from us, because without you being able to do that, we wouldn't be making these videos. So please, if there's anything that you want to see, let us know in the comments below. We read every single comment. Cars that have gotten insanely popular for track building include the Toyota GR86, the Mazda RX-8, the 1SS Camaro, the C5 Corvette, the Toyota MRS, banging, the Acura RSX, the Honda Fit, and of course the iconic Mazda MX-5. Now, most, if not all of these cars feature the following in order of importance, because you gotta have good bones. Number one, handling. No one, and I mean no one that builds a proper track car gives a flying, tootin', hootin', poopin' about just horsepower. Actually, the less you have, the more absolutely psychotic you have to be in the corners to even make it around a track. Number two, the car is balanced. I couldn't believe how many RX-8s we found over at VIR back in March during an SCCA weekend. I just didn't think this was a car people picked up. And when I asked why they chose a car, 9 out of the 10 people said, well, it's unreliable. I'm just kidding. That's not what they said. They responded with the same thing. It's a very balanced platform. A balanced car feels unlike anything else. I compare it to like having water in a glass that's flowing back and forth, but in a very controlled way, like the one in that initial D. Smooth weight transfer just feels good, and you can definitely tell which cars do it right. And finally, the third thing, consistency. If a street car is like a goth girlfriend boyfriend you found on an incognito site, a street car is surprisingly the one you want to bring home to your parents. I know that sounds backwards, but ask anyone who's built a track car and they will always tell you that the most important mods for a car like that are the ones that keep your butt well planted in that seat for as often as possible so that you can feel your life driving through the kink. This is important. Seat time is the biggest thing in the world. And if you want to learn more about the tracks that we've gone to and some of the events that we're heading to, go check out the Martiniworks Podcast. We upload every single Friday, and it would mean the absolute world for you to go check it out. So before jumping into modifying your street car with a bunch of power, like, I don't know, turboing a K24 and swapping it into a Honda S2000 to turn into a time attack car, maybe instead just get a sway bar, Over the years, we found that building a car for the track is so opposite of a show car because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be stuff most people will never see. So where do you start? Right here in the garage, okay? This is like stuff that you're gonna wanna keep in mind from somebody who's going through it themselves. Number one, brakes and pads. Okay, nothing is more important than upgrading your pads, no matter what you're on. For instance, on a 2001 Honda S2000 with upgraded brake pads from either Hawk or EBC, it can give me a 20 to 40% bump in stopping power and maintain more consistent performance even as it gets warm versus the stock pads, which can and will fade after a few hard braking zones on a warm day. During that warm day, your brake fluid will also spend some time in the kitchen cooking as well, which is why most people run DOT4 high temp brake fluid. Now, no matter if you're going 60 or 160, losing brakes is about the scariest thing that can happen to you on a track. And I promise you cannot find a pin in an asshole in that car. That's a promise. Now, everyone might tell you to upgrade your tires as well. And I would say some good tires from Michelin or Continental are going to get you far if you plan to modify a car for the track. But you won't be allowed out there if you and your car don't pass tech. This is the scariest thing in the world. Okay, so jumping into a full shakedown of what the hell is that noise over a weekend is super important. Shaky bits in your car are sometimes signs that something is about to fall off. And I know that sounds shocking, but it is worse when it's a heat shield underneath your car at 110 than at 35 on College Avenue. Boring cars aren't bad cars. Having good fluids, a dialed in and reliable car can get you onto the right foot jumping into the track. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be boring, but you don't always have to have something exciting either. Now, tracking is fun, but it's a bit of a nerdy game to jump into. But it's easy to get overwhelmed, and it's even easier to fall into a mess of people telling you what you're doing wrong while they also have no idea what they're doing. There's a lot of ignorance that can run around in this space, and you just gotta settle everything down. Now, when I first started doing track days, the greatest thing I was ever taught was developing habits and then finding those braking, turn in, and throttle out zones that you feel comfortable with. Marker points and visual cues are huge on tracks. Road America has like the silliest references, but God, do they work. Now, we all have a little bit of testosterone too when we're out there, and when your group heads out onto the track, and point buys are gonna end up being the thing that either annoy you or scare the crap out of you. It's almost guaranteed. Now, if you're fast, you might think the person in front of you is a complete imbecile and incompetent of being on the track because he hasn't pointed you by 0.04 seconds after getting onto the straight, and they're an idiot and a butthole. I'm kidding. They're probably not trying to upset you. They're just trying to figure out the track just like you. The same way a Honda Fit with absolutely zero regard for his life is going through turn 5 at 67 miles per hour, and you're crawling through it at 30, and those happy little headlights smell what you had for lunch, and you might think they're being mean to you and they're bullying you on the track, but they probably just realize that if they touch the brakes, it's gonna take them 17 seconds to get back up to 100 miles an hour. It's okay. You're gonna feel a lot of these emotions. Nobody's really doing it intentionally. And remember, a high-performance driving day is not race day. It's a day for you to learn. The amount of times I've seen novice drivers go out there with a GoPro and do everything they can to make the next viral TikTok of them passing a Porsche GT3 where that person's just learning to is insane. The only thing you should brag about out there is you getting better every single day, not you trying to pass somebody where you're not supposed to. And the biggest thing I learned was listening to my car. If I didn't do that, the car behind me right here would have burnt down in flames and I would have been absolutely devastated. This is a real thing. Being safe out there is huge, and it's most not really fun to talk about, but cars on the track going through serious stresses, and a pop or a bubble noise can be your car telling you that a coupler just fell off, or you just lost your lower control arm bushing, or in my case, you just overheated. If you hear it, pull back into the pits and check it out. Trust me, the 5 minutes of time that you save, potentially saving your car, is always worth it. So how do you modify a car for the track? Easy, baby. You grab your affordable, balanced, low power pile of junk, but still sick to you, and you throw it up on jacks to replace the brake fluid with some high temp goodness. You're checking those suspension bits while you're down there, along with your pads and rotors. From there, you're going to Google if the track you're actually going to checks for helmet certification, because that's a real thing. And instead of trying to install a wide body and turbo in the 3 weeks between now and the track day, you're going to instead spend the time tightening and torquing everything down from your drive shaft to your exhaust hangers, because it's not a matter of if something will fall off from your car, it's just a matter of when. From there, you're gonna wanna pretend that you're a race car driver while you're on the track, because testosterone runs high and everybody around you is an absolute idiot except for you because you watch Gran Turismo. But I beg you to learn from the instructors and learn from people around you, and I promise you will have a great time. Having a track car is a level of fun that just can't be matched. From buying your first set of 200 treadwear tires like the Yokohamas from Martiniworks.com, or I'm calling FEMA, or a set of coilovers that have dampers inside them like the 510s, because you want to feel the track more but still go home and feel like you're on a comfortable set of coils. There's nothing quite as incredible as a balanced car that can be used in the way that it's intended, but it's expensive. But it is the greatest testament of building something for yourself, and if you jump into it, you're gonna have a blast. So when you're ready to build a track car and you want to know if EBC brakes are better than Hawk, or if it's worth to snag Koenig ampliforms over Conce KNPs, or if BC Racing is better than Fortune Auto for your local Willow Springs racetrack, hit us up over at Martiniworks.com and we would just love to help you. We won't claim to be the next Pikes Peak record holder company, but we do know how to take a normal everyday car and turn it into something fun, whether it's for show, track, or anything in between. But let us know what we should talk about next. Share this video with a friend that's building their car, and if you already have a track car, add it over to our build threads over at Martiniworks.com. I'm Alex Martini. We'll see you on the next one. Adios.